Hey y'all, it's Dayna Lorraine. So you remember that last episode I made? If you didn't watch it, it was an episode with me explaining how I need to accept things in my life. I had two realizations lately that made me feel like I need to accept something that's currently going on with my inner self. I may be experiencing loneliness. And that took a lot out of me to say, because I don't consider myself to be somebody that lives in emotion, especially when the emotion isn't necessarily positive. But the reason why I came up with that is two things happened in my life recently. The first thing is this. I was with my friend Kenneth. We were driving from Long Beach. I made him go get bubble tea with me because everybody that knows me knows I'm a bubble tea fanatic. When we were driving to Long Beach, I decided to play some of my favorite songs. The song selections that I chose, music says a lot about where you currently are. I don't know if you all are familiar with Janet Jackson. I get so lonely. Like that song? Yeah, I love that song. But I felt the words more than ever in that moment because I was performing them all, right? Right after that song, I chose this song by Case called Missing You. And basically in the song, he's just like, I'm missing you. Like he's just talking about this woman that he just can't get over and he wish he can contact her. And then the song that I said before, Janet Jackson, she's just talking about how she gets so lonely and how she needs someone to hold her. And then the third song that I decided to play was Joe, Don't Want to Be a Player. And by no means am I considering myself a player, but when I just think about myself as a person, when I was singing the lyrics to that song, like, don't want to be a player no more, I wasn't doing a remix with Big Pun. I was just doing the original cut where he was just going through it and he was like, I'm looking for someone to spend my life with. Like, it was such a beautiful song. And I kept looking over at my friend like, do you hear these lyrics? And when I took some time to think about it, I'm like, yeah, your playlists lately have been consistent of like really deeply like emotional songs about like longing for, dare I say, love, or not feeling complacent in that space yet, or wanting that good thing that you had that's no longer around. So I was like, okay, you know what, girl, Dayna, don't overthink. Like, you just like those songs because they're good songs, they're from back in the day, and they were made by extraordinary artists. Yeah, I don't know if you all remember this, or you probably didn't if you didn't watch the video about acceptance. In that video, I had a reading by my astrology reader. She's an older woman, and she did tell me in my reading where my placements were and my planets were, and she was just asking me questions. She's like, are you lonely out there in LA? And I'm like, no more than usual. I was just kind of playing it off like, no, I'm not lonely. Like, no. And she's like, you sure, baby? I'm like, yeah, I mean, what else could a girl want? Like, she's chasing her dreams. I'm coming up in my businesses. I'm working with a really lucrative client right now who's teaching me the ropes of show business. Like, I'm not lonely. And also my sibling lives out here with me in LA, so I couldn't be lonely, right? And then I also have, a male friend that lives out here that is real close to me. So between the two of them and my busy work life and my businesses, child, I'm not lonely. Now, I've been taking some time to myself and I'm like, you know what it is? You really want to know why I can't call myself lonely? It insinuates that something is missing in my head, like I'm longing. I like to live in a space in my life where I don't want for anything. Wanting causes suffering in my head. If I'm fixated on something, I'm tormented till I get it. And when I think about being lonely, I think about it in the romantic sense. Like a lot of people, like I think about dating, I think about being in a relationship, being courted, or being in a marriage, and none of that is happening right now. And I would think that that's for a reason. Of course, like everything happens the way it's supposed to, but because I've been by myself for quite some time in LA, and I've been single, and I technically only have really 2 points of contact that I really trust, and they have really busy lives too. I'm not always with them. Maybe if I let my Virgo guard down and I'm honest with myself, maybe I am experiencing loneliness. And it doesn't have to look like just romantically. Maybe I actually just miss the base that I have. Like in Chicago, it's way different for me. I got my friends, I got my family. There's more people that look like me where I stay in Chicago. In LA, it's kind of different. Like my life is completely like, booped out the bam, like next thing, like next goal, let's go. Like it's nothing for me to focus on but me and what I want and who I want to become and what I'm doing in this moment. It's no family really besides like my sibling. But like I said, they're busy. It's no friends outside of my sibling. Like, it's just really just me. I had to take some time to think about that, because I'm like, okay, so in this kind of circumstance, I could get out, I could meet more people, I could try to connect. And it's weird because I do have a busy social life, if you will, because when I set up on my product, I'm always meeting new people, I'm always around people, but there's this overarching loneliness of needing to be understood. And I think that's why I'm drawn to this point in my life to YouTube. Like, it's kind of like when I sit down and I have these talks and I'm talking to the camera and I know somebody will listen and they'll be a part of my journey, listening to what I say and then applying with their own journey. I guess this does provide some type of sense of comfort to my loneliness. Maybe I should just embrace that for a little bit and not run from it, because I'm trying to tell you, it does not come natural for somebody like me to really sit in something like loneliness, because it just makes me feel like, oh, well, then I could just go out and fix it. I was on the phone with my friend Chase, shout out to him. I told him about, I don't feel like I'm lonely, I feel like I'm neutral, like I'm not being pulled in a direction to do anything, but at the same time, there is a feeling inside of me that is longing. And he was like, yeah, that sounds like it could be that you're lonely. And he was just like, you know, with women, I don't really understand it, because you all have so many different options. And I'm like, meaning what? He's like, well, I mean, it's like always men, as soon as you walk outdoors, that want to talk to you is men in your DMs. I had to explain this to him. There's a difference between options and attention. So like, yes, I will admit that I do have attention. Those aren't real options in my eyes, because it takes more than somebody wanting my attention for me to be like, okay, like, let me chat with this person. He was just explaining to me, he's like, with women, he was like, you all have attention, you just don't want to give attention to what wants to give you attention. And I'm like, I guess only a woman can understand this, unless they're a man that gets a lot of attention for whatever reasons. Just because somebody wants you to pay attention to them does not mean that that attention is worthy of paying attention to. I can't tell y'all the countless amount of like attention that I get that it's not gonna go anywhere. There's no intention behind the attention. It's just, it could be for sport. Like a lot of men, I feel like are like, let me see if I still got it. Let me go stop shorty and see what if she gonna give me a number. I feel like a lot of men, obvious reason, they just may wanna, get in the bedroom. And then like, I think a lot of men also are experiencing loneliness themselves. So they don't necessarily have a plan outside of what they come up to me for, but they are trying to not be in a space where they have to be alone. So I was like, those aren't real options. Those are just people that want attention, and it won't be in a way that maybe I would want to pursue it. I'm gonna check in with y'all about this, because I've never quite experienced having to sit back into my emotions in this kind of way and admit these harsh truths. First video I made was about resistance. The second one now is about acceptance. And the third one is about loneliness. But everything is unfolding the way it's supposed to. I guess I just wanted to get on here to say, like, I guess nobody's exempt from feeling loneliness in any category, romantically, friendship-wise. Even like trying to be understood. When I was talking to my friend Chase on the phone about explaining how what he thinks is options is really just people trying to get attention to go nowhere, he did say something that was monumental to me. He was talking to me about dating. When he dates a woman, he does like to figure out if they're compatible in a sexual space sooner than later. And that's where he's at in his journey. That's what he believes, and I completely respect that. But I took a moment to think about why he felt that way. And I asked him a question. I said, when you see a woman that you deem attractive, what are your first things that run through your mind when you think about her? And he was just like, well, to be honest with you, like the first thing I'm thinking about is it's kind of like sleeping with her. And I'm like, really? And he's just like, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how men think. The first thing they notice is that they're attracted to you. And then the second thing is they want to sleep with you. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, shorty, I'm a man. I'm like, yeah, okay, true. And I've heard that so many times. I've heard men say like, they'll approach you based off the fact that they're attracted to you, so they're trying to sleep with you. Not saying that that's all they want, but those are the first steps that run through their mind. I couldn't help but to think about how when I meet men, and this may be another reason why I am so actively lonely, I'm usually trying to pick up on energy. Everybody wants somebody that they're attracted to, but I don't lead with like, oh, he's so fine. Like, let me get in contact with him. I hope he talks to me. Like, there is usually some type of energy that draws me to that person. And the first things that run through my mind when I see somebody that I'm vibing with, like if they come over and they say something, and that's usually the determining factor. I could see somebody from across the room and be like, they're interesting, they're nice looking, and just brush it off. But if I get in contact with the person, like close one-on-one, and I feel as though what they're saying and what I'm saying kind of like vibes, and there's this synergy between us, then the first thing that comes to my mind is like, I wonder like who this person is on a daily basis. I wonder who they are outside of this. I wonder what they like to do. I wonder what they like to eat. He said it about like after attraction, he thinks about sexual activity. I guess I felt even lonelier in that moment because I'm like, damn, I wonder how many people really think like this. That made me feel isolated in my thoughts. And I'm like, let me not take it that way. There are probably plenty of people that think the way I think about vibing with somebody's energy and trying to think about who they are on the inside. I'm not gonna lie, when he said that, I was like, I'm doomed out here. If that's, I know he doesn't speak for every man, and it's not such a bad thing if a man is like, I'm attracted to her, I wonder how she is in bed. But I would just think that there would be some type of man out here that doesn't lead with that. I know that has to exist because I exist. I know there has to be somebody out here that's like, oh, that's a beautiful woman. I wonder what really gets her going on the inside. I wonder what her whole streamline of thinking is. I wonder how she collects herself for the day. I wonder what she thinks about this topic. I would just imagine that has to be out there because it's within me. But I'm not gonna lie, him saying that and kind of like grouping men into this space where that is typically how their mind works, it did make me feel even more like shelled in, like, ooh, I am lonely out here. I always say there's a specific type of man that I'm attracted to and a specific type of energy that I like. When I don't run into it often, I'm not shocked because I'm a really different type of person as well. I'm gonna tell y'all how this loneliness journey goes. Hopefully it won't be one of those things that I can't appreciate, because there's beauty in every emotion. And even with me being in my solitude, I feel like I'm going to figure out so much and I'm going to be able to appreciate. If anybody else has ever experienced loneliness or they're lonely at the moment, I guess we could start a support chat down in the comments. That's all I got for y'all. This is short, sweet, to the point. I'm gonna go rock out to some of those songs that I told y'all about and try to mend my lonely emotions. I love y'all. Until next time, peace.